Talk HD with Brian Herzog.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Real Talk HD. I'm Brian Herzog, your host for today's show. Today, we're talking about something that Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and surrounding cities here in Baton Rouge, we need to know about, things that can help the public. In studio, we have Global Tax Centers, and they're announcing a plan that can help Louisiana flood victims with filing and amending their tax returns. In studio right now, I have Mr. Nathaniel Causley Jr. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Brian.
You know, this has been such an amazing event, the Great Flood, 2016. All over the world, people in Japan know about it. All the footage is probably one of the most documented events this year. And your company is stepping up to the plate and trying to be of service to folks in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, surrounding areas. Tell us about it.
So Global, what we're planning to do, Brian, is we figured out we've got to do something to help out in this crisis. Our company was based out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I personally was affected by the flood. Our office was wiped out, a total loss. But we figured we got to figure out a way to give back to the residents here. So what we did, we announced a plan to step up and provide a flat fee, tax preparation fee for anyone who wants to amend their 2015 return, or if they haven't filed their 2015, we will do those returns at that flat rate price.
Right. Now, before we get too far into this so that the folks can understand who you are, because you're saying this is some things that we wanted to do. What is your role with Global Tax Centers?
I am the founder, president, CEO, chief cook,
okay,
butcher, baker, candlestick
right,
maker with Global. Global was an idea that I came up with in August of 2015. Prior to that, I was at H&R Block for 11 years, and before starting my own company, I was inducted into the company's Hall of Fame. I ran all of the H&R Blocks in Southeast Louisiana for the Baton Rouge,
wow,
West Baton Rouge, Ponchatoula, Hammond area, approximately 300 tax professionals, right, and 25 to 30 offices. Right. So when I started my own company, we based it here in Baton Rouge. We started with 3 people, myself,
right,
one of my representatives, and Myron Peterson, who was a guy that I've known for 30 years. We went to Southern together, and we got out here and we started doing taxes. So when this flood came, literally I had to be rescued, right, out of my house. 7 feet of water in my house over in Central.
Wow.
Came out the house tied together like mountain climbers, my wife, my 2 children,
wow,
and the water went from our knees up to our waist, chest, in about 5 to 10 minutes. If it weren't for the boat, we may not have survived. So that impact, being in the shelter for 3 days, seeing exactly what this flood had did to people, mm-hmm, we had to figure out a way, how can we offer, because we lost everything. Right. So part of that, we stepped up and we said, hey, we're going to get out here for people that were affected, let them know what the IRS has done. They've given them the opportunity to extend filing their tax returns. You've got corporate filings for payroll taxes in October. You've got taxes for partnerships, right, that were due. So they've extended that back until January of next, right, year. But they allow you right now to have the opportunity to do those taxes and claim them now, right, versus waiting till next year. So, right, we're providing that service to all the residents in the affected, right, areas to provide this flat rate, right, tax preparation, right, fee.
Yeah, so in other words, basically what you're saying is you're basically a Baton Rouge or Louisiana homeboy at this point in time because you were caught up inside of this, and by being so closely connected to this particular event, by actually being a survivor of it, do you feel that kind of helped you to kind of inspire you to want to reach out and be of service to folks out there?
Absolutely. If it weren't for what I had gone through and seeing the people helping us, picking us up on the boat, I kind of go back and see what was happening in Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge was sort of like a powder keg at the time with the Alton Sterling, our police officers that were killed.
Wow. Yeah.
And I believe this flood was God's way of saying enough is enough. And in that shelter, there was no black, there was no white, there was no Republican, no Democrat. It was just people suffering a tragedy and trying to pull together. In that shelter, we saw people helping each other. We had old and new, and everyone was just talking about how fortunate and how thankful they were to survive. So with that, we had to figure out a way to come back and offer something. It's a small way. We're not like the big companies, H&R Block, Liberty, or Jackson Hewitt, that could have done something, but they didn't. So we stepped up and said, hey, with our 3 people here in Louisiana. We have 20 representatives across the country. They're pitching in to provide tax preparation to all the affected residents, and we figure this is our way of giving back.
You know, there's a lot of people out there like cell phone networks, the electricity, folks with the utilities that are giving folks breaks. I mean, all over the country, and you know, but it's only like those real major, well-funded people practically don't even have competitors doing this kind of thing, you know. And I notice you say a lot of those other folks out there, like the H&R Blocks and folks like that, hadn't stepped up to the plate. But hopefully, you know, by you guys setting the example, hopefully, who knows, maybe it could potentially make a difference. But at the same token, you know, it's very important. And myself personally, I wanted to bring you onto this show because folks got to know what's going on out there, and there are people that are displaced. There are people that they're just completely turned upside down. They've lost everything. They didn't have insurance, all kinds of stuff, and people are looking for resources. People are looking for knowledge. So that's why I think it's absolutely, totally appropriate that we brought you on so that we can talk about this, because you know, most of the time we're thinking about the federal government, people owing money and different things. And look, nobody plays with the federal government. At the end of the day, you know, you might cut a little corner and do a little late payment with this person, that person, you know, but the federal government, everybody knows that's the real deal. You're not going to play, right? Right, Nate?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So, you know, so I think it's absolutely amazing that this can kind of give people a comfort level that, number one, they don't have to just be pushed up against a wall. You guys have solutions so that people won't be under so much scrutiny and pressure with regard to their taxes.
That's correct. That's correct. The fact that you have a casualty and property loss, some people may have owed money to the United States government, to the IRS, during the tax season, but with this property casualty loss, they may now be able to get a refund. And in many cases, as we know, FEMA is capping out the damages at $33,000.
Right.
Most people are forced to apply for an SBA loan personally. You can get up to $200,000, or if you had a business, up to $2 million.
Right.
But that's just like applying for a loan. Even though the interest rates are low, 1.5%, you still have to qualify. So the last thing on people's mind is, I'm in a crisis now. I've got to qualify to get the money to rebuild.
Right.
So with that in mind, you know, the fact that now they push the deadline back for the filing and people can claim those losses, here's an opportunity to fill the gap. A lot of people are walking away from their homes, Brian, because the damages to the home to repair it do not add up to the amount of money that FEMA's given. So people have two choices. If they don't get the loan, they walk away from their house. Some people are going into forced foreclosure as a result. But you know, this is our small way of saying that if we could provide, and through this property and casualty loss, you're able to get some money back to either make a decision to stay in the home, get it gutted, and live there until you can do it piece by piece, is something, you know, something to the residents of Louisiana.
Right. Something amazing like this, I mean, it's got to be something that people, are you finding people that just completely didn't have a clue about this option?
Absolutely. It wasn't until the IRS actually announced it, I believe, August 16th, about the declared national disaster. So there's still a lot of people out there who are just trying to get the stuff out of their home.
Right.
You know, in my own personal case, you know, I'm in the tax industry and I'm aware of it, but the first 3 days in a shelter, and then I'm staying with one of my fraternity brothers' home, and in the process, every day of just going back to the damaged area. It looks like it's Beirut, Lebanon. Everything is just destroyed in our neighborhood. And at that time, how can you think about taxes, right? But now it's a valid option for those people who did not get approved by the SBA loan, who didn't get the full amount from FEMA. Maybe this may be an option that with these property and casualty losses, they may be able to get a refund where before they had a balance due.
Well, Nate, thanks for coming on to the show. We're going to come back in just a moment. We're going to bring some more of your representatives and see what they have to say and see how they can fill the folks in. Thank you so much for coming through. And just after the break, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have more people, more folks from the Global Tax Centers are going to be talking more about some of these different various options that you may have. If you feel like you're pressed up against the wall, we're getting ready to free you up just after the break.
is Real Talk HD with Brian Herzog.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Real Talk HD. We've got Myron Peters in studio, and he's also with Global Tax Centers. What is your involvement with this particular initiative?
I'm the Senior Regional Vice President for Eastern Louisiana in the Baton Rouge market, also Amite, Louisiana, all the way over to Covington and Bogalusa areas.
Okay, so what is your experience with regard to all of the activities that are transpiring and the services you guys are rendering to folks?
Well, we're here as a resource also. Like with the flood, people lost all their documents, so we're able to let them know where they can get their documents, their transcripts from IRS.gov, from the IRS if they had previously filed their taxes, and also if they haven't filed their taxes in their W-4s got watched up, then you can also go to your employer and get those papers back so that we can amend your return and file your return.
So what we're talking about here is you're saying that you guys are informing folks that have lost everything, that everything is not lost. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, everything is not lost. There are digital records that are on file with the IRS when you previously filed your returns. Also, your employer still has your W-2s on record, so you can get that information readily if you thought you had lost it.
Right. So, so in other words, when people think they've lost their photographs, they've lost all of these different priceless things, when all is not lost, because this day and age, everything is gone to the digital age, and everything is not lost, and folks can actually recover very valuable information. How do they know exactly, or where can they go to get that information quickly?
Well, quickly, if they need their W-2s, they can get that from their employers. If they need a transcript, if they previously filed their taxes, they can go to IRS.gov to get those particular documents. And if they had filed with Global, although our office went under, our information is stored in the cloud.
Nice. So in other words, you guys are set up just like the federal government. You guys have been able to preserve through technologies as well. So your pre-existing clients are covered.
Yes.
Right. And in terms of the other folks that out there that have not dealt with you directly, they can still recover themselves just by going to the what was the website again?
IRS.gov.
IRS.gov. Okay. Is this something that folks are also, that you guys are finding that they didn't think about, that, hey, shoot, I forgot about that. This is where everything is digital. I have not lost that information. Are you guys finding that most folks are not really thinking about this kind of stuff, and it's more of a surprise and glad to hear it, or what?
Yes, it's more of a surprise to a lot of people. They thought that when those paper documents at their house got washed away, that all was lost, but all is not lost, and that's what Global Tax Service is, a resource to let you know that all is not lost, that you can recover the data that you thought was gone because information is stored digitally now.
Right. So what particular data do you think folks out there may need but not thinking about at this point in time?
Well, they're not thinking about, their W-2s. They think all is lost, but that is something that very easily can be gotten, because you can also go to the website, and most companies already have those documents on the IRS website, so you could readily get those without even having to go directly to your company.
Are there any other resources out there that things can be easily recovered that the people out there might not really know of?
Well, they can also, if they've lost their identification documents, the banks, they still have all the information digitally stored also in the cloud. Also the motor vehicles, they have that information stored, and they can readily get that information from them also. I know the line may be long at the DMV, but hey, it's the DMV.
Right, that's right. So are you guys kind of preparing like services, or I'm saying preparing services, but I guess more of a custom, are you guys kind of like out there trying to point the people in the right direction?
Yes, we're exactly right. We're trying to point them in the right direction and trying to be a resource to the people, because I myself went out by boat from my subdivision. My house didn't go under, but the water was so close, you didn't know if it was going to come, so you had to get out. And I found myself at the shelter, found myself trying to get a hotel, spent 3 hours at the hotel, and Holiday Inn canceled my reservation when it was time to check in.
Man, that is absolutely crazy. Everybody's got so many drama stories, and unfortunately, they got a lot of folks that have gone through the most devastating aspect of their life.
Yes.
But because so many people were affected, you really can't get much sympathy because you have to share it with everybody else.
Yes,
This
got
is
to
a
move
very
on.
unique event. And I think because of the fact that, and I'm assuming that, because I just finished talking with Nate, and Nate, like you, seemed to be very personally connected because he was also a survivor. You are clearly related to folks, and you were, like you said, how your water was at your home. Is it that most of the people that are working this initiative, pointing folks in the right direction for Baton Rouge and surrounding cities, trying to get them to understand where resources can be recovered and being able to delay some of their tax burdens? Is that some of the reason? Is it that most of you were in that personal predicament?
Yes, a lot of us was in that personal predicament. I'm on the side where I'm one of 11 houses in a subdivision of over 300 houses that didn't flood.
Wow.
And so
You were
my
blessed.
neighbors
Yeah.
get to see me out cutting my grass,
right.
and they're trying to get the soot and soot out of their houses. So we're here just to be a resource to them.
Right, right. And we were blessed also. We have two studios at the Celtic Studios, where we ended up, the Celtic Studios, we ended up having 2,000 survivors there. It was dry there. And of course, our studios on the other side of the Mall, Louisiana, where we are right now, were dry as well. So we really lucked out, blessed. I just got to say, blessed is what we are. And I've got to, so folks out there can know too. Right now, for those that want to know where they can get in contact with FEMA, FEMA's main offices in Baton Rouge are located at the Celtic Studios right now. In addition to the disaster recovery area is also located at the Celtic Studios now. So, if you want to try to figure out how to get hold of resources, ways to kind of make things a little bit easier, talk to these guys, reach out to FEMA, the disaster recovery. We're not done. We've got more information just after the break.
It's Real Talk HD with Brian Herzog.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for coming back to us. Real Talk HD, I'm Brian Herzog. In studio, I've got an old friend of mine that it's amazing to see him come in studio. Mr. Chris T. White, let me shake your hand.
How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing good.
Good, man. Good
How
to
have you
see
been?
Been good. Been good. I see you've been doing well.
Thank you. Well, I'm trying to be just like you. You're on the show today because you've actually benefited positively from some of these services. These, Global Tax Centers is actually, you are a product of someone that's been led to the water.
Right. Absolutely.
Let's talk about that.
Well,
What happened?
Prepared my tax return. I'd always used one of the major preparers for years.
Right.
But I actually connected with Nate, and he actually did my tax return for this past tax year and did an excellent job. All the same services that I'm accustomed to receiving from a tax preparer, got those exact same services from Global. So I was very pleased.
Right. So what happened? Were you displaced or?
No, actually, fortunately, I wasn't. I was one of the blessed few, my family and I, that our home did not get water. Right. However, as you can imagine, many of our neighbors and coworkers and friends did, including Nate himself. Mm-hmm. So when Nate told me about what he planned to do for the community to give back, I felt like I just had to come down and lend my support. Well, I was positively impacted by, Nate's passion and his commitment
Okay.
to deliver this service to the community, because so many of my coworkers were displaced. They were in shelters
Right.
and trying to find places to live, and they lost everything. And
Right.
so I saw what they were struggling
Got
with.
you.
And so when Nate told me about his initiative and I read the press release, I just felt like I had to be here to lend my support.
Right. So basically, you kind of come on unofficially, but kind of
Yeah.
just kind of help out.
Right, exactly.
Right, because I'm
Right.
telling you, I've seen so many people that came to the Celtic Studios dropping off water, clothing. You'd be surprised how loving people are
Absolutely.
in Louisiana.
Absolutely.
So this is nothing new. We've seen tons of people just stepping up to the plate. So you were like truly inspired.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is it? That you feel that in terms of the energy of what they've been doing in terms of helping folks out, that's different from other people in the industry?
Well, I think it's a prime example of compassion, truly having compassion for people that are trying to recover and trying to rebuild from this disaster.
Right.
And as Nate said, there are some resources out there, but in many cases it's not enough.
Right.
And so this is a way that they can reach out to another resource that may help them fill the gap. Right. Because many people want to stay in their homes. They don't want to have to leave, and they don't want to have to, as Nate said, be forced into foreclosure. They want to be able to rebuild and stay in their homes. And if this is a way that they can get a little more resource to fill the gap to help them do that, I think is phenomenal.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the fact that we can put information out, period, that can be of service to folks is what they need. What I really like about what you said is the genuine compassion. I mean, that's priceless. When people really, you can really tell when somebody really cares.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be a globe reader or a crystal ball reader. Normal people can tell when something's genuine. And generally, when you see that nice, that loving, that giving, that selfless attitude, it gets contagious.
Absolutely, it
Yeah.
does. Well, a prime example of what you talked about with the Celtic Center, right?
Right.
People who had no connection, right, to the survivors in many cases that were in
Right.
the shelter were spending their own money and their time and their resources and bringing food and dry clothes and
incredible.
things for babies and all this other stuff,
Right.
To the point where they had to say, hey, wait
That's
a minute,
right.
we can't take anymore.
Right.
If you remember on the news.
That's right.
So
That's right.
that's the spirit of Louisiana and Louisianians, and prime example is what Nate is doing.
That's
So
right.
I think it's awesome.
Chris T. White, thank you for coming on to the show. I'm so glad
Appreciate
that
it.
you've
Good
given
seeing
us
you
your
again, man.
take on what's been going on with the flood. And it might not be on the TV all the time like it was,
Right.
but the people here, they know it's still
absolutely.
present.
Yeah.
It's a long ways from being gone.
Absolutely.
So thanks for coming on and talking about this. Just after the break, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have Nate's going to come back, and we're going to talk a little bit more just before we leave. Do know that at the Celtic Studios, you have access to FEMA right there. The FEMA offices are right there, in addition to the disaster relief. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking more about how global tax centers are really making an impact to the folks here in Louisiana just after the break.
It's Real Talk HD with Brian Herzog.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking with Global Tax Centers. We got Nathaniel Cosley Jr. We got him back in studio. I wanted to get Nathan back because I got to call him Nate. Everybody like to call him Nate, so I like to be cool with Nate. What we're talking about, we've been talking about a lot of different various services, different various information that people need to know to kind of get themselves out of a bind and know that there is a break in a few different places. And of course, Global Tax Centers is announcing a plan to help Louisiana flood victims with filing and amending tax returns. So, but it sounds like since we've been talking, Nate, that we've been talking about more than that. You guys seem to be just kind of out there helping
Yeah.
people any way you can.
That's right. That's right. We're out there trying to make a difference, Brian. Locally, there's about 3 of us here in Louisiana. I'm in the process actually of relocating to Houston temporarily while they're trying to get my home together. But we have over 20 representatives across the country. We have tax professionals in Ohio, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Atlanta, Flint, Michigan, Oklahoma, who are all pitching in. And so as people that are interested, they give us a call, go to our website, send me an email, and we gather that information, and we have over 25 tax professionals that are pitching in to help them get their tax returns amended to try to fill that gap.
So, so in other words, there's tons of businesses here in Baton Rouge.
Yes,
And Gonzales and in all these different areas. They're completely flooded out.
that's right.
I mean, tons of people, you call their voicemail, look, we've got flooded, but we're still, in business.
That's right.
But it sounds like you guys are set up where even though you got hit, you've got so much support throughout the country
Oh,
that you're
absolutely.
able to use all of these folks that are high and dry,
Absolutely.
right? That's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's
So,
amazing.
See, our corporate office was actually located here in Baton Rouge, and so that's what got flooded out. But
Right.
some of the goodwill that exists, one of my business partners, they've offered us space over in the 2 United Plaza temporarily to help us, process these returns and meet people one-on-one.
Right.
But our actual servers are based in Missouri, and our company is our international headquarters are based out of Nevada. So
Right.
all of our servers are in the cloud. Nothing was affected as far as
Right.
clients' proprietary information. Just the fact of the
Right.
local office that we all operate out of got affected just like everyone else. So
Right.
they're pitching
Right.
in. We're excited that everyone was like, "Hey, Nate, what can we do?"
Right. Does it seem like I know you guys deal with people in this area a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that do people look different? Do they behave different? Can you see a difference in folks or not?
I see a spirit here where people have been knocked down, but they're not knocked out. And so one of my sayings that I always talked about in business is that it doesn't matter how much you know, and people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So what I've seen in Louisiana as a result of this flood is the caring come back. And you can have a
Right.
head for business,
Right.
but it means nothing if you don't have a heart for people. And that's our motto at Global, is to have a heart for our
Right.
people. So everything that we've done, watching the pain,
Right.
I tell a personal story. Sometimes it's very emotional when I talk about it, because as we were getting rescued, my little 6-year-old looked at me and said, "Daddy, am I going to die today?"
That's crazy.
know.
Yeah.
So, I said, "No, nobody's dying on
Right.
Daddy's watch." He said, "You're going to be my superhero?"
Right.
I said, "I got you." And now in the back of my mind, I'm scared crazy because this
Right.
water is going from knee up to our chest. And by the time they
Right.
pulled me on the boat, Brian, it literally was up to my chin.
Right.
So now, the caring that I've seen and what we're doing, doesn't matter. We're going to take, and we'll be up all night, 24 hours a day. If you've got a return that needs to get processed, needs to get amended, we're going to be here to help you, one of our 26 people across the country. And for those people that are looking to pitch in, that may have a background in tax,
Right.
come over and you're welcome
Yeah.
to join us,
And help out.
be a part and help out.
Help out. That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show,
you, Brian.
Nate. You guys have done an amazing job. Thank you so much.
you.
And because of the fact of you guys, all the energy you guys are putting forward to people and really making a difference, I want you to go. What's your website? So if somebody needs to go online,
Absolutely.
they need to be able to see that. What is
You
it?
can visit us on the World Wide Web at www.globaltaxcenters.com, or you can call me directly. I give everyone my personal cell phone number.
They can call the CEO.
They can call the CEO.
What you say.
That's right. 609-254-4367. Or send me an email, and in that email, just give me your name, your address, a number to contact you at, and we will get back with you and get all that information to you. You can reach me at nrcj@globaltaxcenters.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is an amazing way so that you can be able to find relief and kind of catch your breath. Everybody needs a break right about now. Thank you so much for being with us on Real Talk HD. Today, I'd like to say thank you so much for Global Tax Centers and everything that they've been doing for all the fine folks in Louisiana, Baton Rouge, and surrounding cities. Thanks again for checking us out, being with us for an entire half hour with Real Talk HD. I'm Brian Herzog, your host for today's show. See you on the very next edition.